Ever wonder what happens to your car whenever you drop it off to get new tires put on or to get a flat fixed? I mean, you hand the keys over the counter and then a couple hours later you come to pick up your car. But what happens between those two periods of time? I mean, the tire is pretty hard whenever it's on your car. I mean, it's holding up all that weight, and then you got the rim. I mean, it's metal, so I mean, how the heck do you get the tire off the rim? I mean, what kind of black magic are they doing in the back, right? Well, I'm here to kind of demystify some of that, and I'm going to show you what actually happens after you hand the keys over. It'll be a small glimpse into what happens, but it'll be the bulk of what's going on. So a little bit of background. So there's two different ways. There's probably more, but there's two most common ways that you can do this. Before machines were really prominent, there used to be the manual way, and you can still do it if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you got to pull the tire off to try and do a quick patch job. Granted, you're probably not going to have tools just sitting around, but basically what you do is you take the tire off, you take a couple big long bars, similar to this guy right here, and you just pull the tire, and it'll be the process that I show you in the machine. You roll the tire off of the rim, and then you have to do the exact opposite, putting it back on. And it's very backbreaking, it's very labor intensive. It's not how it's typically done anymore, unless it's like an emergency out in the middle of nowhere tire repair guy who's not going to have the machine on his truck. The way we're going to show you how I'm going to show you how to do it is with a tire machine. So that would be this wonderful machine right here. We just got it here in our shop, and I'm pretty excited to show you how it works. So for the purposes of this, I already have a tire that I'm going to use for this demonstration, so I'm not going to show you how to pull it off of the vehicle. But that's a pretty simple process, so I'm not going to get into it. So basically this whole procedure, and this is in a nutshell, I'm going to break it down a lot more once we actually start doing it, is we're going to pull the tire off. Then we're going to do an inspection of the rim of the tire, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips to look for, if you're going to be doing this job yourself at like a hobby shop or anything like that. A couple of things to pay attention to when you're putting a tire back on the rim. And then we're going to actually do the act of remounting the tire. So, first things first, and I'm going to pull this down, and I apologize if, for whatever reason, you can't see my face and you can't hear me. The shop I'm in echoes really bad, and I can't get the machine and myself fully in the frame at all the time. So I'll do my best, but I apologize in advance. So first things first, we need to safely air down this tire. So let me get my valve stem here where you can see it. I'll pull this down a little bit more. Okay, so this is your valve stem. This is where you put the air in the tire. So we're going to use this tool. It's called the valve core remover. It's got a little slot in there. It basically fits on this valve core that's in here. So this would be a good point where you would want to put in hearing protection because this will get very loud. I don't have that much air pressure in this tire at the moment, so it's not going to be loud, and it won't take that long. But you basically just unscrew it, and you pull this out. And it's just this little metal piece, looks like that. So you let the tire fully air down, and then the next step we're going to do is we're going to break the bead. And I'm sure you're thinking, what the hell is the bead, right? Well, the bead is where the hole in the tire meets the outside part of the rim, and there's this inside of the tire, and the actual rubber encased in the carcass. There's this big metal steel wire that solid runs around both sides. And what that does is, as the tire is inflated, it keeps that tire rigidly in place and it wedged on this rim, so that way it doesn't just pop right off. But it makes it very difficult for when we disassemble it, so we have to do what's called breaking the bead. We don't actually break anything, you're just breaking it loose. So on the tire machine, we use this part right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and we're going to stick it in between the rim and the tire, right where the bead's at. It's going to wedge in. Now this tire has been very well lubed because I'm on take 5. So this is going to work really quickly. But normally, on an older tire, it's very well glued onto place. You'll have to do this in multiple positions, sometimes 2 or more, and you have to do it on both sides. So you bring this up, you position it, and you stick it in there. So you can see, I only am going to have to do it once on each side because it just popped right off completely all the way around. thing we're going to do is we're going to mount the tire and rim up here on the tabletop. Now, let me go ahead and move this up because we don't need to be down that low anymore at the moment. I'll go ahead and lower it here in a second whenever we go to do a little bit more. I apologize, but I need to pull my pants up. So, what this is there's 4 jaws here, and when I hit the foot pedal down here, they're going to spread out and clamp to the inside here. Now you can clamp them in reverse and clamp to the outside here, but that's not necessary on a steel rim. That's more if you've got some really high dollar expensive tires and rims that you don't want to mar up on the inside. But all we got to do is we just pick it up, set it on, and then we hit this foot pedal. And it centers and locks itself. See, so now I cannot move this tire. Alright? So now we're going to start actually taking the tire off. So what I need to do is, this is my tool head. So I'll go ahead and swing this into position. I'm not fully in position, but I'll swing it over. And now I have to actually position it. So this moves in and out, and this allows you to adjust for different size rims. And then this comes down, and this adjusts for different width rims and tires. So what we're going to do is we want to bring this right to the edge of that rim on that side. And once we get it in place, all the way down and all the way back, go ahead and lock it in place so it doesn't move. Now, this is a really newer machine. It's got some cool features on it. This is called a tool head. And this one's leverless, which means you don't need to use this guy anymore. It's still there because sometimes if this tire is really soft and floppy, like ultra or low rolling resistant tires, for instance, where the sidewall is real thin, this tool head won't be able to automatically pick this up. So you use this just to kind of help pop it out of place. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and flip this switch that goes down and pushes it. It didn't quite catch, so I'll just go in and pop it up real quick. And then pull it down. What that does is it pulls it up over the rim. Now, this is possible by a thing called the drop center, and it's built into the rim. I'll show you that once we get this tire off, because it'll be easier to show than me just trying to tell you. So, I'm going to use this tool, and it's just a little wedge. So what we do with this is we'll wedge it, exactly like it's called, between the backside of the tire bead and the front face of the rim, so it keeps it from rolling back under. And then we'll go ahead and just start spinning the tire. So our first bead is now off. The second bead is a little bit more tricky. It's a little tricky because you're going to have to hold the tire up into that drop center while you catch that bead. Now, you use this same way and you rotate the tire. Tire is now dismounted from the rim. So, I won't release this because this machine is nice. I don't have to set that each time, so if I'm doing a full set of tires, it saves me a little bit of time. So now that the tire is fully dismounted, what we would do is go into an inspection phase. So if we're going to assume that we just had to do a patch job on this tire, we're not replacing with a brand new one. So let me go ahead and pull you down and I'll show you what some of the things we're going to look for, and then a couple tips real quick. So when we're inspecting a tire, we're going to look for damage to the sidewall, because if we've got any major cuts in the sidewall, we have to get rid of the tire and replace it. We'll check both sides. Now you also want to check this area right here. This is the bead. Inside this rubber is where the metal core is, but this is called the bead. And this is what actually seals the tire against the rim, and it's what locks it onto the rim. So if there's any damage here, unfortunately, we have to replace the tire. Now, one thing to note on these tires is sometimes you'll see a little arrow on the sidewall. What that indicates is that it's a directional tire, meaning that, say the tread pattern is in like this V shape to displace the water as you're driving. It's designed to only rotate in one direction. If you put it on backwards, it won't work as intended. It might actually make the vehicle more unsafe. And also, it'll be noisier. So you can reduce the road noise by paying attention to the direction that you install it. And when you mount the tire on, you need to pay attention with the directional tire on what position it's going on, because if you mount a directional tire on the wrong side, in the wrong direction, or you mount it on the rim improperly and you put it on the opposite side, the arrow might point backwards. Another thing to note is on most tires, the sidewalls will be different on each side. This one's not as big of a difference. This one just has a little extra ribbing here versus this side where it's smoother. But sometimes they'll have white wall lettering and it'll only be on one side. So instead of having your car look goofy and you'll have like one tire that's got white wall lettering and the other three are the white wall lettering's on the inside, you want to make sure you pay attention and you mount the proper side out. This is a unidirectional, which means it can roll either direction. So the only thing we need to pay attention to is which side, which one of these we want to be on the outside of the tire. Now, let me pull this up. I'll set this out of the way for a moment. So now going to the rim, what we're going to inspect, same thing, major nicks and gouges on this bead area. And right here, the reason why we have to quote unquote broke the bead is because these regular bumps that help to lock the bead in place against the outside of the rim faces. And right here is what's called the drop center. That's what allowed us to pull the tire off. It's slightly smaller in diameter than what the rim's designed for. So that way it offsets the rim, or the tire on the rim, so that you can get something behind it and pull it over. So we've checked the rim's fine. Normally, 9 times out of 10, you might as well just go ahead and replace this valve stem because they're usually made out of rubber or have some sort of a rubber seal. And the last thing you want to have happen is to go ahead and reassemble the tire, you didn't change this, put it together and either it breaks off right as you're airing up the tire or you pull the air chuck off and, well, now you're leaking. So you got to disassemble the tire again to pull this and replace it. So this would be a good time to replace it. Everything on here checked out good, so now we can go ahead and start with the reassembly phase. So what that entails is to combat the friction of the tire going on the rim because it's rubber. What we do is we put a little bit of lube on it. And this is just glorified soap. So we take a little brush like that with a little bit of soap and we just run it on the inside of this bead. It doesn't take a whole lot, just enough to lube it, so that way it rolls on smoothly and we don't damage the tire while we're doing this. Now it is possible to do without, but it makes it a lot more difficult and you run the risk of damaging the tire. Doesn't take a whole lot to do, so we just put a little bit on and then our next step is going to be to set the rim and tire assembly up here. So we can start mounting it back on. Now this is where you want to pay attention to what side we're going to stick out. This is a trainer tire, so I really don't care. We'll go ahead and just kind of throw this up here for the moment. And then we hit the foot pedal to swing our tool head back into position. Reassembly is the exact opposite of disassembly. It's just how we position the bead on the tire over the tool head. So instead of using the switch here to do the leverless tool head, we don't need to do that. All we have to do is hook it under the leverless portion on this side, and we hook it over the tool head on the back side. So once we get that hooked, we can kind of do a partial roll on, and then we'll go ahead and start to roll the tire. And now, the tabletop's spinning right now, the tire's not going anywhere. It's all the lube. So what I'll have to do is give a real help, a push. First one's usually the easiest. Anytime, taking it off, putting it on. Because the second one, it's a little harder to maneuver and to hold in place as we're rotating it. So go ahead and roll. I got it hooked properly over here and start rotating on. And as I'm doing it, I'm going to have to kind of help it down a little bit. I need to get this tire into that drop center of the rim so that way it rolls on nice and smooth. And we're all done. So since this is the only tire I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and release the hose on there and I'll swing this out of the way. I don't need it anymore. Just get it out. So now, the first thing we did was we aired the tire down and then broke the bead. Well now, we have to reseat the bead, but we're going to air it up at the same time. Airing it up is kind of a two-step process. Normally you leave the valve core out because you need as much air velocity into the tire, because sometimes the beads will be pressed together, so there won't be an easy spot to get the tires, like it'll just blow out of here. So you leave the core out so that way you can get as much air velocity into the tire as possible. This tire's been mounted for so long that it just goes right together. But you want to pay attention to pay attention to is you want to listen or feel the tire when both beads pop. You'll feel a pop for sure. Sometimes you'll hear it pop. You just go. You should have been able to hear that first pop, but that was the bottom bead seating in place, and the top bead just seated. So we can go ahead and disconnect this temporarily. And we'll go ahead and we'll take our valve cord and our valve cord remover, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall the valve cord. Now, since they had those tiny little bumps where the beads sat, the bead's not going to just come off. So we don't have to worry about the entire air down there. So now, once the valve cord back in place, put that away, we can take our air chuck one last time, and we can hook it up and do our final air up. Now, every vehicle will have on it, either in the owner's manual or on the vehicle itself, some kind of a specification for tire pressure. If you're replacing a tire, you want to make sure that the tire you're installing meets or exceeds the requirement for tire pressure that's on the vehicle. You can have a tire that fits your vehicle, but it only gets up to, it's only rated at 35 psi, and your vehicle might be rated at 42 psi. So you want to make sure you do that. Now, I'm not going to air this one out fully, because for one, it's a training tire, and two, I don't know what it's going to be going on, and I don't want to incorrectly reinflate it. So the tire is now remounted. We can go ahead and release the tabletop clamp, and we just hit the button one more time and pull it off. So from here, where do we go? So let me go ahead and pull this up. So from here, what we would do is we would put it on the tire balancer, which is the big fancy machine right next to it. So this guy right here. This guy, that's our tire balancer, but that's beyond the scope of this demonstration. So as long as we follow this procedure, airing the tire down, breaking the beads, putting it on the tabletop and pulling the beads off, then doing an inspection, installation is the exact opposite. So I hope this gives a little glimpse into the behind the scenes action of what happens at a repair facility / tire facility. So that way when you're sitting there and your kids are crying and you've been there for 2.5 hours and you're going, what the heck's going on? And there's a crowded lobby, baby's got gum stuck in his hair, and your kid's crying because he's tired and he's hungry, and you just want to leave and get out of there. Maybe you can give the guy a little sympathy because you kind of understand what he's going to have to deal with. Plus, he's got 1 million other customers that he's doing at the exact same time. So I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and appreciate you stopping by.